Everyone must manage your life in some way, shape, or form. It's just how do you choose to do so? Some people, like our stick figure here, have a goal they want to work towards, and they put the pieces together to bridge the gap in order to achieve that goal. What will you do? Why do you make goals? Why, it gives you purpose, gives you something, a reason to live, a reason to do something else. Why do you get up every morning? Why do you come to school? Why would you go to work? I mean, we need to have goals in life. If you aim for nowhere, that's just where you're going to go, like our cartoon over here to the right. You'll keep running and running, and if you got goals, you'll keep reaching the pinnacle of where you want to go. If not, you'll just stand still in one location, be miserable, and wonder why life has passed you by. Goals defined as a desired achievement towards which you work. We have to take our aspirations, our hopes, our desires, our passions, our ambitions, our wishes, our dreams, and develop them into a measurable statement, just like in science we would a hypothesis. A statement that we can test to see if we actually accomplished it. So make sure your goal is defined in such a way that it is measurable. There are all sorts of types of goals, but when we really look at them, they're really, some type of short-term goal or a long-term goal. With a short-term goal, success is just at the next exit, as we see here. Example, tonight I'm going to go home and I'm going to mow the yard. That's my short-term goal. A long-term goal is I'd like for my outside of my house to look good, but my short-term goal might be to mow my yard. So I go home tonight, I get some gasoline, put it in my mower, I make sure there's oil in it, I start it up, and I mow my yard. And it's over, it's done. Very short term. Long-term goals are more like, what am I going to be like in 10 years from now? What are the things I want to accomplish? In there might be several goals within that itself, with lots of steps I'm going to have to take in order to get there. Let's look at how we need to develop intermediate and short-term goals in order to reach our long-term goal. Let's say our long-term goal, we want to score a certain ACT test or get a certain GPA in order to get into a college. Now we're going to pick a GPA that let's say we want a 3.6 GPA on a 4.0 scale. Okay, we're going to pick something measurable. So we've got to make some intermediate and short-term goals along the way. Let's talk about a class. I have to take a final in the class. Well, I go back and I look and I read my goals I have for this class. And boy, my goals say I need to get an A in this class. I can get a B in chemistry, but not in this one. I have to get an A to keep my GPA to where it is. So I write a revision to my plan. I look at my class and I figure out my score, and man, I need to score at least an 88 to make sure I get an A on this test on my final. So now I know exactly the score I must get. Then I go and make sure I have all the exams that I need to study from, or if I'm missing anything, I photocopy something from someone else. And then I organize maybe a study group. Here we organize a study group with Joe and Alex, and we set a time and a date we'll meet and how long we're going to meet. Then I set times where I can go through all the old exams and study them, and I make sure that I set a date and a time that I will actually study them. Okay, with this, I ensure that I have an opportunity to reach my intermediate goal, which is to get an A on the exam and get an A in the coursework. So these are all short-term goals in order to reach my goal. Now, why do I do this? I got to maintain focus. I'm not just going to come up and get a 3.6 GPA in high school. All of this gives me drive, lets me have a plan to get there. So I have to celebrate success, or I can celebrate success along the way. Hey, I organized a really good study group. That went really well. I really feel a lot better about this exam. Hey, I've really put the time in to study on this exam. I'm ready for it. And then I take the exam and score what I want to score. That is success. Most people don't know the difference between goals and plans. So if I tell them, what's your goal? And they'll start telling me, well, I like something like over here to the right. I want to get married. I want to go on a mission. I want to graduate BYU, go to graduate school, have children, raise them in a righteous environment, run a half a marathon. Every single one of these down this list are goals. They're not a plan to get there. Every single one of these require a plan. And this is a typical mistake a lot of people have. Goals have got to be broken down so that you can aim to success. Now, if we look at a plan, it's a detailed description of the steps you'll take to reach your goal. Each step you take should move you toward your goal. Some examples would be like a plan where I designate time. I will go to bed at this time every night, or I will study from this time to this time every night. I will work out, right after school for an hour and a half every night. There are those type of plans. And then there are achievements based on a time frame. Well, I plan to bench press someday. I want to bench press 200 pounds. Right now I'm bench pressing 135 pounds, and every month this year I'd like to increase my bench by 5 pounds. So at the end of every month I actually have a measuring tool to see if I'm making the steps towards my goal. I want a grade of an A in a class for the quarter, then I examine what my test scores are along the way. I have goals for each test. I have goals for my homework. I won't get any zeros. I will ensure all my homework is done thoroughly. I'll double check it. Stuff like that. The plan. Then we need to make a lifestyle change. If we define lifestyle, that's the way in which we live our life. And there are lots of influences that can screw up your goal based upon your lifestyle. You can enhance your goal, your chances to reach it, or you can disrupt it and run it completely off the rails. Examples of lifestyle changes are the amount of sleep you're getting each night. Are you eating healthy? How are your relationship with others? Are you upset all the time? How's your family doing? Are they supportive of you? What effort are you actually putting forward when you do something? Let's say, for example, it's studying. Are you studying with music on? Are you studying with the TV going on? Is that a real effort? We got to make choices, and some of those choices you make will affect that. Finances can affect your ability for success, and you got to find a way to get around that. The time you spend practicing is the most important thing to reaching your goal. If you want to get better at something, you have to put the work in to do so. And there's so many other lifestyle changes you can make. Attitude and confidence make the difference. Some people say, I hope to do that. Some people say, I might do that. And other people say, I will do that. Who are you? Are you the person who thinks they can, or are you the person who thinks you will? So make sure you have the right attitude and the confidence to make a difference in your life as you're pursuing your goal, following your plan. What are your goals? I challenge you now, if you don't have a goal, develop one. Heck, at your age, every one of you probably want to have a car or something like that. If you don't have a car, how are you going to get a car? Something like that. What kind of car do you want? Start thinking about long-term goals. What am I going to do for a career? Am I going to go to school? Where am I going to go? Start asking yourself questions, and then develop yourself a goal from those questions.
Let's get to our topic today of goals. Goals, as you say, give you life direction and a sense of meaning and give you a framework for making decisions. But it's important that your goal is something that you really, really want. Okay, so how do you go about getting to that goal?
Clarifying what you really, really want. I've seen a lot of people who set goals, actually are goals to live up to the expectation of other people and not for themselves. And that creates inner conflict. So you want to make sure that it's something you really, really, really want. A real goal, a good goal, I would say, is something that scares you and excites you at the same time, because that's the time that we can expand our personal boundaries, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And if you expand your personal boundaries, you have a bigger space to play in. You create more opportunities, and that means more self-confidence, better self-esteem.
What do you mean by scare you? Challenge you?
When you think about something all the time, and it's exhilarating at one level, but also scary at the other level, because sometimes that means that we have to give something up, and that's sometimes scary, whether it's a relationship or a habit or a belief system.
But if you don't do it, that means you really don't want it?
Well, there are different reasons. It's not as simple as it sounds.
Right.
Sometimes we are dealing with limiting beliefs. You want to believe it's possible for you to achieve what you want. You want to believe you deserve it. And you want to know that you have what it takes to get the outcome that you deserve.
Do you find that a lot with different clients, that people think they don't deserve something good?
Yeah, and that's it's seated very, very deep, and it doesn't come out in just a normal conversation.
Right. So, what are some of the specific things that we should do to reach our goals?
The first thing is to use positive language when we set goals. Be very specific. I like to think of the mind as a goal-seeking organism, just like Google, the search engine. If you type in the right keywords, you get good results. You type in the wrong keywords, you get wrong results. The same is for the mind. So you want to be specific in what you want, and the more specific you are, the better you can measure your progress towards your goal.
And then you have to be proactive and consider the consequences, meaning that if you reach your goal, there might be a consequence that you'll have to deal with that you maybe didn't anticipate.
Sometimes we forget that we're part of a system. You're part of a family system, a relationship, a community, an organization. Whatever you do, whatever you think has an impact on the system. And like in nature, with ecology of nature, you want to make sure there is balance. And the proactive, I think the good goals are goals that you can initiate yourself and control. Sometimes if you say, well, I want my husband to understand me better, that's not a good goal to have, because there's nothing you can do about that. You cannot control their behavior, right?
Oh, okay. Do you think, Dieter?
Newsflash.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've been doing wrong. Do you think when you set a goal, do you think it's good to share that with people around you, or do you think it's better to keep it to yourself?
There are different opinions. I think if you share with few people, the people that will support you, I think that's positive.
Because there are people that will sabotage you.
And especially the people who are closest to you, because they want to keep you just the way you are.
Really?
Don't take any chances, yes. A lot of people who want to lose weight, a lot of the family members, they don't always, welcome that, because that means that they have to change too. Because if you change, they will change somehow.
So that's why they bring the donuts.
The donuts, yeah. Where are the donuts?
To make sure that you gain weight or you stay the same, right?
Yeah.
That's very interesting. All right, and finally, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail, right?
Yeah. Jim Rohn used to say that if you don't plan your life, don't be surprised that somebody else will plan it for you. And guess what they have planned for you? Not very much. So it comes down to taking ownership of your own life, setting your own goals, and be resourceful, because you can't do it on your own. You need some help, and that's why life coaching is such a needed resource, especially today in the down economy, and people are struggling with careers.
I think it's interesting that there's life coaching that's going on in the U.S., but it's very, very common in Europe.
It's very prevalent in Europe. It's a way of moving forward, and personal development, it's a very important. The self-help industry is gigantic, right? Even in this country.
All right, well, great. Dieter Pauwels, we'll see you next Friday, same time.